Hey everybody, this is Troy Alexander, Inspiration with Troy Alexander one more time. We are excited tonight for this amazing show. But listen, just before we introduce our amazing guests, listen, our mission is to dream, take that step, and walk with purpose into your destiny. Listen, that's our motto, but our mission is to encourage you to dream and to inspire you to take that step. Because listen, dreams, listen, they can come true. Don't ever give up on your dream. Listen, tonight we have an amazing guest. I'm super excited, but listen, follow us. We already see us on Facebook, on YouTube, Inspiration with Troy Alexander, Instagram at Pick by Design. And listen, our nonprofit called to inspire.org. Listen, got one point of purpose real quick. Use what you have. Might not seem like much to you, but whatever gift, ability that you have, use that until you can grow into something else. Listen, if you only know one song, sing the one song until you learn another. This is about taking a step toward your vision, your purpose, and your destiny. But tonight, I'm so excited. We have an amazing guest by the name of Travis Wolfe Sr. Listen, let me introduce him really quick. He was placed in foster care at the age of 8, experienced many forms of abuse, a runaway youth at the age of 15, homeless at the age of 16, and arrested at the age of 19. But he's a graduate of Temple University, Army veteran, retired Philadelphia police sergeant, author, inspirational, motivational speaker, and family to Los Angeles from the East Coast to the West Coast. And listen, all of his children to help them follow their dreams. Come on, y'all. Listen, to do great in the Hollywood industry. And now his son has a role on the Bob Hearts Abashola on CBS on Monday nights. His oldest daughter is a teenage film director. His youngest daughter is now acting. Listen, let's give it up for Travis Wolfe Sr., everybody. How you doing tonight, Travis?
I'm doing extraordinary. Thank you so much, Mr. Alexander. I appreciate it, man, for having me. I'm doing very, very well. Grateful to be here.
Well, listen, it's an honor to have you. I'm so honored to know you and your family. But listen, we want to get right into and sharing your amazing journey. I gotta ask you, with your experience in foster care, having been homeless and arrested, what gave you hope that your life could even change?
You know, that's very, very interesting question because, and I'm grateful you asked that question, because many of us are looking for that hope, and especially and when we're in those situations, when we're having those experiences, we're looking for that hope. And for me, I admittedly didn't have that when I was younger, when I was going through those experiences. I didn't always know what to look for that hope. But I had this thing in me, this desire to have greater things and to be better and be doing better things and to be able to give more and to serve more. And that's always who I've been, even since I was younger. My family tells me all the time, the way that I am now, you know, I've always been this way, and I'm always loving and giving. And the desire to do more for others is what gave me hope to become better, or gave me hope that things could get better for me. Because if I was doing good and serving others, then I had to be in a position to be able to do that, you know. So there had to be that hope, that promise. I had a mentor I met when I was 17 years old, rather. His name was Pastor Jeff Arthur, and I was in high school, wanted to go to college, but didn't really, know it could be possible for me, because coming from the background that you explained, kids like that don't normally go to college. So Pastor Jeff was the first person to ever tell me that he saw greatness in me, and that I had greatness in me, and that if I just believed God and believed in myself, that I can have and do and be anything in this world that I desired to be. And at the time, I wasn't really ready to receive that information, but it sat in the back of my mind, and that also gave me hope that I could have, do, and be more in this world. And he was right. And today that's the truth. So
absolutely awesome. Phenomenal. That, listen, I got how do you go from homeless to now? I love your shirt. Listen, your slogan, go be great. I mean, how do you go from homeless to your slogan, go be great or be great?
Man, it's all of us truly have greatness in us. All of us have that something in us. We all just haven't tapped into it yet. We all don't really aren't familiar with it. And many of us have been told no by people, or no by our family, or told we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we don't have the right skin complexion, or our hair's too curly, or our hair's too short, or you're too short, or you're too tall, or you're not gifted enough, or you're not talented enough in this area. We've been told so many different things, and we're constantly told no, or you're not enough. But the truth is, all of us being fashioned by God, right? Born into this world in the likeness of a limitless creator. How can we be anything less than great's not even enough, to be honest with you. The word doesn't exist for how whatever we are, but because of the conditioning, we've been told so much less. But once I believe that I could do and have and be greater, unconsciously, Troy, I started to be that. Once you believe that you, once you accept that you are, not even believe, because even with belief comes an innate. I'm trying to put this in a way that makes sense. Even with belief, there's an innate doubt. There's still a possibility of the opposite of what you believe. Yeah. But when you accept that you are, when you accept that it's already done, when you accept that you have what you desire, when you accept that you are as great and as perfect and as extraordinary as our Creator has created us, something unconscious happens to you when you start to walk in that acceptance, when you start to live your life like that's the truth. And as opposed to what people have told us, the other conditioning that we've, been conditioned to believe. Right. And it's just something extraordinary just happened to me once I accepted that was the truth. I didn't operate in average anymore. I didn't operate with anything less than an acceptance that it was already. I love that, Travis. Done. Right. I live my life like that, and I strive to live my life like that every day. And I try to teach, and I teach others as well to do the same.
Listen, I want to talk. Listen, so much that you said was packaged in that response. So let me go with this first. When did faith come into play along your? Because you're talking about God and being what He's designed us. When did that happen along your journey?
I always get asked this question. For some reason, this question constantly comes up, and when I think about the challenges that you mentioned earlier that I faced growing up, we don't leave there's not a lot of room in there for a person like me to have faith when everything just seems to continue to happen to us as we're growing through our journey. And the truth is, though, if we decide that things aren't happening to us but are happening for us, our faith is able to grow. If you know that when I went through what I went through, when I was being abused, right? I'm 11 years old. I'm being abused. I'm being raped and molested by a 16-year-old foster brother of mine. I'm growing up through life, having all kinds of thoughts because of the trauma that I experienced. Thoughts of me being less than, not being enough, never being able to achieve greater things, thinking I was supposed to be, a victim all of my life. There's not a lot of room there for that faith. But when I accepted that those things didn't happen to me, but happened for me, right, to become the person that I strive to become, then I have something to hold on to. I have something to look forward to, right? Something to work toward. And for me specifically, I don't really know when that moment was when I developed that faith, but there was something about me, even through those challenges and those experiences, I had this belief or acceptance that one day it's going to be better, and then life would happen to me and try to wipe that faith or that belief or that, that hope away. But even though I say during those times, I didn't have hope, and I didn't really understand the faith, innately, I never quit on myself. Innately, I never gave up. I never gave in, or else I wouldn't be where I am today, right? I never gave in to these ideas that I was supposed to be where I was. And I had this undying, I guess we'll call it faith, but it was this undying belief or acceptance that I could persevere through this. I just would not accept my circumstances or my victimization or my hardships. Even though I thought that was where I was supposed to be, I couldn't just live in that space. I mean, I always wanted more, and I believe that I could get it. But I really don't know when that moment was, man.
Listen, y'all, this is
wish I had it.
Wow. No, listen. This is Travis Wolfe Sr., y'all. Listen, I'm telling you right now. Listen, when did you learn? When did you become comfortable? Or why do you even think it's important to share your story? Because listen, you go around and you speak at different events. I mean, you motivate, you inspire. When did you learn to be comfortable, to accept who you was, where you came from, and where you are and where you're going, enough to share your story? Because so many, right, don't want to talk about the past. But when did you learn to make your past a part of your future?
That's a great question. And it was 2015, and it was January 2015. And I was sitting at home, and I was nursing a back injury that I had. At the time, I was a police sergeant, and I loved to serve. And I took this job because I love to serve. I sought this job out for many, many years. I got told no 14 different times by 6 different departments. I could not become a police officer, but I kept pushing through because I knew that I needed this job to serve people. That was what I felt at the time. I needed this job to serve people the way I want to serve others. And when I'm sitting at home nursing my back injury, not doing the job that I pursued for years and years and years and had been working for so long, I felt like I wasn't living in my purpose, or I wasn't able to live out my purpose because of this injury.
Right.
I started to understand, though, that this wasn't all that there was for me. If I wanted to truly serve at the highest level, it wasn't going to be with the badge and the uniform and all that kind of stuff. I had to do more. And once I made that decision, I was going to do more. Something crazy happened. I don't even watch. I didn't used to watch Steve Harvey show or anything. I really wasn't. I used to love his comedy, but I didn't. He's not just comedy. He's very inspirational, very inspiring. He always puts that kind of thing out there. And I ended up coming across some link or some video or something online. Might have been even Facebook, where he had a woman on his show, who I later learned was Lisa Nichols. And she was telling her story, and she was sharing her story with the audience. And Troy, I'm sitting there watching this video, and it's January of 2015. And I'm watching this video, and I'm hearing her tell her story about all that she had gone through. Ironically, I was just on YouTube. You know how sometimes YouTube plays videos like automatically after you finish listening to them. And I heard her telling her just 20 minutes ago. I heard her telling her, maybe 30 minutes ago, I heard her telling her story. And but that was the same story I heard that got me inspired to get started. When she's telling her story, I'm watching how the audience is responding to her story, and I'm like, man, that's a good story. The audience is crying, and people are, just really engaged, and I'm like, that's a good story. But the story that I have would transform the world, because so many people have had so many different experiences. And no, I'm not downplaying her story, but my story is great as well. And I need to be sharing my story because it can have a great impact on the world. People who have gone through what I've gone through, but continue to have that same mentality that I used to have, that I wasn't going to have more and be more and do more. They need to know that they can overcome that victimization and those hardships. And I need to share their story. And then I started writing it. So I started writing it down, writing my story out, writing it in a book. And the trauma relived, at the time, I didn't know how to handle it. And it was causing friction in my relationship with my wife. And she didn't know why, because I'd never told anybody that, about the victimization that I experienced growing up. And eventually, my sister came to me. I'm in the kitchen. It's now April 1st, 2016. We're in the kitchen in my house. And she says to me, she says, Trav, how's the book coming along? I told her everybody was going to write a book. My wife and my close people, I was going to write a book. And I was like, oh, I didn't really write it. I didn't, I've been, writing some things down, but didn't. She's like, okay, well, how's it speaking? She said you were going to become a speaker and start sharing your story and telling the world all this and inspiring people. How's that coming along? I was like, well, I'm actually good, I'm good just being Travis the cop. I'm making 6 figures a year. My family has everything they need.
Right.
We own a house. Like, I have 2 cars. I achieved the American dream that I wanted for myself, right? A house, 2 kids, a wife, 2 cars, a home with a white picket fence. I had all those things.
Yeah.
But she was like, you're lying to yourself. You always tell me don't settle for less, but you're settling. That's not who you are. Your family deserves more. The world needs you. They need to hear your story. And in that moment, man, she inspired me to get back to writing my book. So my sister, Serena Wolfe, you know Serena. You actually know Serena very well. But she inspired me to get back into writing that book and sharing that story, man. And it was April 1st, 2016 that I decided I was going to really, really go forward and not stop and not quit. And then that just I can't explain. Unconsciously, I started doing things that I would never do. That I sharing, talking about these things and opening up to people. And I saw the impact that it was having on their lives. People, I'll go give a talk somewhere, Troy, and everybody in the room, man, woman. I mean, you've been there. They'll be crying. They'll be, I'll transform them in that moment. They'll come up to me afterwards and thank me for sharing my story and tell me how much it inspired them to believe that they too can overcome their hardships. And I'm just so grateful to be a vessel for God and be able to be used to inspire and empower and encourage others, man. So that's the long version of it, but I felt compelled to say all of that because there's somebody out there that needs to hear it, because you too are sitting here watching
it right
now, and you have something that the world needs, but you're sitting on it.
Wow, powerful. Listen, I see your book in the back, Go Be Great.
Yes.
Listen, I got to ask you, how did you deduce and we're going to talk about your social media, how to buy it, how to get it. Go Be Great. Listen, I got mine, y'all. Make sure you get your book. So you want to make sure but how did you deduce all of like the foundation of your message, Go Be Great? How did you deduce it to those 3 words as opposed to awesome and amazing? What was it about great that inspired you to have that be your platform?
It was that conversation that I had with Pastor Jeff Arthur when he told me that he saw greatness in me. And when I'm sitting on my couch, I'm drawing up logos for my company. I'm trying to figure out what the logo is going to look like. I'm writing down all these little cool sayings, and I'm asking my wife and my daughter, Anaya at the time, my oldest daughter, how they felt about it, And I'm like, I need something that's going to be powerful, that's going to be that's going to inspire and encourage people and going to move them to action, And I was coming up with all these things, and this one popped out. And at first, it didn't really I felt good to me, but my family wasn't, they weren't really sure. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to ask God. So I'm like, God, if this is it, give me a sign, tell me, show me. And I was just obedient, and this stuck. I'm like, it has to be just these 3 words. And this was it. This is going to move people to action, and it's become a movement. There's, people are buying this stuff all over the world, and everything I do starts with Go Be Great. Go Be Great. The book, Go Be Great. Coaching, Go Be Great. Yes. Everything is Go Be Great something, because I want to encourage and inspire people to do just that.
Well, you are doing just that, sir. Listen, we are so proud of you, man. You are inspiring the world with your message, your story, your inspiration. And listen, not only do I have my book, but I got my shirt, y'all. Listen, I should have worn it tonight, Travis. I'm thinking about it now. I should have worn my Go Be Great shirt, right? But next time. But listen, so proud of you and all that you've done. Every experience allows us to learn something, right? To grow from it. What was it about being a law enforcement officer and being in the Army? I mean, what was it about those 2 journeys? What did they give you that has helped you to make you who you are today?
I think that those specific endeavors they solidified for me that I was a leader on the highest level. because I've always been a leader in my family, amongst my peers. Anybody who knows me will attest to this, that I've been a leader amongst the group of individuals that I'm around. That's always who it just is who I am. I love to lead, and I love to put myself out there and to help others to get to, a common goal. And that's something that just I needed to know that I could do it on every level. So being a police officer, being a leader among people, my friends, my colleagues, my coworkers would call me sergeant before when I was an officer. They would call me captain. They would tell me, don't forget about me when you become commissioner. And I'm like, dang, like I'm just a cop, but they reminded me of that ability.
I like that, Travis. I like that.
Oh, I loved it. It kept me going, it kept reminding me of that ability to lead. And then when I joined the Army because I wanted to serve at the highest level. And I knew that the Army in my mind was the absolute highest level of service in our country. At that time, that's how I was thinking. So I joined the Army and quickly became, it was great to have my wife and my children to come when we graduated to see me lead my platoon. And to be told by the many who were in my platoon how great of a leader I was. Still to this day, they tell me stories about how my leadership has helped them. Or, I was on the phone with a great friend of mine, Christian Rosa, the other day. He always reminds me of how great of a leader that I was and how grateful he was to work with me. He was my platoon. He was my platoon assistant. He was my right hand man. And it's just great to be able to see on those two levels that I could serve. So it just allowed me to remind myself that I could be a leader at the highest level.
Wow. Listen, I want to talk because I feel led to ask you now. Go and talk to those individuals who have been abused, who have a difficult time, right, getting past that experience. What would you say to them to help them to not stay there, but to be able to aspire greater and move forward to be the great person that they are, of the greatness that's within them? What would you say to them?
Number one thing, don't attach who you are to the victimization. Don't attach who you are to the thing that happened to it. We are not what happens in our lives. And we are children of God, first and foremost, all powerful beings. There's absolutely no limit to where we can go, right? And what we can do. But we allow victimization to define who we are. We allow those traumas we give it meaning. And the meaning that we give it is that it has power over us, that it has control, that it's supposed to keep us down and keep us in the place that we are. Not realizing that, for me, I realized that God used my situation. Troy, I'm sitting in front of you today answering questions. You asked me, how can I use how can others overcome that victimization? God, what happened to me? God allowed what happened to me to be used to serve others in this moment. That victimization used to define me. I used to let it hold me down. I used to cry about it in private and just it would hurt to, still today, there's some pain there, but I'm grateful for everything that has happened in my life because God has allowed me to use it to serve other people. So don't let that victimization define you. You are a child of God. That's your only definition. Don't let anything else be attached. Don't settle for anything less. And then understand that the victimization didn't happen to you, but for you to become the person you need to become. Somebody out there needs your story. You've overcome it. You're sitting here watching this right now. You're listening to these words. You've already overcome it. Don't allow it to still continue to hold you down. Now use that to serve somebody else. Look for ways. That was the therapy for me. That for me, using that, telling my story to other people, constantly talking about it to others and telling them how I overcame it was the therapy. I didn't go to a professional and sit down before them and pour my heart out about that situation. I trusted that God used me for his glory in some way to serve another person. And for that, if I didn't have that experience, you wouldn't ask me that question and I wouldn't be helping somebody today. So I'm grateful that I had it because it serves.
Come on, y'all. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, y'all, I'm telling you, this is Travis Wolfe Sr. Listen, just real quick. Again, I'm going to tell you really quick. He was placed in foster care at the age of 8, experienced many forms of abuse, a runaway youth at the age of 15, homeless at 16, arrested at 19, a graduate of Temple University, an Army veteran, retired Philadelphia police sergeant, an author, international motivational speaker, business owner, moved his whole family out to Los Angeles from the East Coast to the West Coast. And listen, to help them follow their dream, and we're going to talk about it in a minute, but help them follow their dream. And now his son, my goodness, listen, what his namesake, Travis Wolfe Jr., listen, is on Bob Hearts Abashola on CBS. His oldest daughter is a teenage film director, and his youngest daughter is now acting. I got to ask you, Travis, you have achieved so much along your journey, and it's not over yet. There is so much more. I want to ask you, how do you balance everything? I mean, from being a father, a husband, a motivational speaker, an author, a CEO, actor. Yes, I said it, actor. Listen, and father of children in the industry. There's so many hats that you hold. How do you balance them all?
Man, you know, I'm really glad you led toward that, because I think that I believe that the universe in all of its infinity um, is balanced. I think that the imbalance is the one that we create in our own minds when we say that that it's not balance. When we search, I think that searching for trying to create balance in something that's already balanced, I think is where the imbalance comes. If you have a scale, nothing on the scale, right? Or let's say we have something on either side of the scale and the scale is balanced. And then we take something and we try to take a scale that's balanced and balance it. If you add anything to either side of the scale, you're going to create imbalance. So I think that when we try so hard to find balance or to create balance, I think we get imbalance. So in understanding that I'm all these things, I don't try to balance them. I just continue to be all the things that God has allowed me to be. And in being those things, there is balance. There is a peace in being a father, a peace in being an actor, a peace in being an author, a peace in being a speaker and being a coach and trainer, and be a peace in doing all these things. There's calm, there's peace, but intentionally putting energy into either one and striving for greatness at everything, that's where I think I find the balance. Just doing as much as I can in every spot to be great in every area. And that's where I find balance, peace, happiness. That's where I find perfection.
Listen. We didn't talk about this before the show, but listen, I want to ask you because again, I feel led to. I want to talk about love. You came through the foster care, and at one point you were homeless. At any point, did you not feel loved? And if so, when did you learn to love you?
Mm. That's the answer to many people's question when it comes to loving yourself. I did feel that I was unloved, especially in foster care. I wasn't with my family, with my parents. I definitely felt that feeling of not being loved. And I felt that for a very long time until I decided to love myself. And I don't know the exact moment that I remembered the importance of loving myself, or I realized the importance of learning myself, but loving myself. But once I decided to love myself, I wasn't searching outside of myself for that love. I didn't need to feel that affirmation from others that I was loved or that I was enough. Because being a child of God, obviously I'm loved by God, right? That goes without saying. So if I just love myself to know that I am more, to believe that I am more, and believe that I am loved, other people started to love me. It was very interesting. Today, I really believe that everybody who meets me loves me. I believe that because I love myself,
Yeah.
that much
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I exude that. So by me loving myself enough, and not searching for that love, now I have enough love to give you. So when you meet
Right.
me, I'm not looking for
Come on now, Travis.
you to love me. I can give you so much love because I love myself that now you end
Right.
up loving me because I'm giving you so much love. So everybody I
Come
meet, I
on
give
now.
them so much love, they love me. And
That's
without
right.
searching for it, I get it
That's right.
because I'm able to give it. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Listen, y'all, you see why he's amazing? This young man is amazing. Listen, I wanted to ask you, again, you have done so much and in your journey, do you ever fear anything now? Because I mean, for you to have come this far, then all of a sudden hit the dreams of your children, talking about how they want to, again, take that journey into the Hollywood industry or in that realm. And then listen, I've heard your testimony, like I've heard your story, of how you went from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. And I believe you sold your house, I think, and you kind of did a few more. What gave you the courage enough to believe enough in your children and in their dream to take your whole family from the East Coast to the West Coast, believing that something greater was in their destiny?
Well, Troy, growing up, obviously knowing my story, I didn't have that stability growing up, right? I didn't have that stability that I wanted to have as a child. My family was always unstable, constantly moving, and growing up, I continued to have that same experience myself. So not having that stability, there's always that, and just being human, there's that innate fear of newness, of doing something new, of trying something different. And I think that we all have that as a
Right,
human,
right.
have something
Yeah.
that pops up that we that we call fear. I decided, Troy, that I didn't want that fear in my life. And when my wife brought the idea to me to move to LA originally, I did have that fear because I can't imagine my family in LA and me in Philadelphia and me being a police sergeant, knowing all I've known all my life was protecting my sisters, protecting my wife, my children. I've always been a protector. So now you're
Right.
telling me I'm 24 plus 100 miles away, and if something happens, I can't be there with you. I can't be there to help you. So the idea of that was fearful for me, that I couldn't
Wow.
control what happened there, and I couldn't be there to help them if they needed me. But I decided that I wanted to not have fear, because truly there's nothing to be afraid of. The only fear is what we create in our mind. I've had experience that when I do things without fear, there's limitless amounts of possibilities. There's limitless amount of greatness that can be had from it, but you have to do. So I
Right.
decided I didn't
Right.
want to have the fear anymore. So I stopped when I had those feelings that we call fear. When I have those feelings and those emotions, I stopped giving them the meaning of fear. I decided that feeling that pops up, that right before you do
Yeah.
something that scares the heck out of you, it's not fear. In fact, that's that God power that I needed to go forward and do whatever I'm supposed to do
Wow.
and do it great. So when that feeling comes up, it's not
Come on
scary.
now.
I'm not scared
Yeah.
anymore. I'm grateful for that feeling, for that
Right.
emotion, and it doesn't cripple me. I'm able to go out and just do,
Hmm.
and I
Wow.
don't hold on
Yeah.
to whatever the outcome is. I look forward to the journey, and the outcome, whatever that is, I'm grateful for it. So there
Yeah.
is no fear, man. And I know sometimes people who are watching, it might not be the popular belief, and for some people, I assure you, this is not just semantics, or it's not something it's it's not something I'm making up. I live my life like this, and it served me tremendously. And people who I teach this, they believe the same thing.
Yes.
They have the same experiences, and without that fear, there is no limitations. The limitations is the fear that holds you back. You never do, so you never get the experience. That's the limit.
Wow.
But if you don't have the fear, you just go forth and
Wow.
you go be great.
Listen, y'all, listen. You all need to invite Mr. Travis Wolfe Sr. to your business, your company. your school, wherever, your college, your university, your corporation. I'm telling you, he will motivate and he will inspire. Listen, go be great. I got to ask you do you find that in every part of your journey? Is there a foundation? What would you say are characteristics that have been the foundation of all that you've done? So if you say to somebody, listen, if you're going to take this journey, you better take what with you? What would be some of those character or traits that you would tell somebody, listen, make sure you have this because this is going to help you get through?
I would say first and foremost, know who you are before all things. I always start with know who you are. And what I mean by that is not who the ego says that you are, right? Not who you've created yourself to be in your mind because of whatever experiences that you've had or whatever decisions you've made. But know first who you are, a child of God, right? You're a limitless, totally limitless being. The only limits are the ones that we have created in our own minds. There's limitless possibilities for you if you know who you are. Secondly, I would say that you would have to love yourself enough to give yourself a shot. Love yourself enough to take a chance. There's always that we give into this idea that there is this fear that creates this possibility that it might not work. But if you believe that it will work, right? And the second thing I'll say is not having that plan B, right? My plan, I do have a plan B. I'm gonna be honest with you. My plan B is to make sure plan A works. It's only one plan, right? So knowing that plan A is going to work, I'm giving everything I possibly can to plan A. And I'm going to make plan A work no matter what. There is no failure for me. There is no possibility that we move to LA. And my wife told me when we were deciding to leave, she was like, if things don't work out and we have to come back, like I'll come back, because things would be challenging for me to, sell the home and, get rid of everything and afford. I didn't have an nest egg. I didn't have savings. I was making six figures, living check to check. So I didn't have money to send my family and pay $3,000 a month in rent and bills and things like that, and still pay for our home in Philly and still, live in Philadelphia while I worked as a sergeant there while my family was here and afford both of our lives on my income. But plan A was to make sure that it worked. I told my wife, you'll never have to come back here again if you don't want. You'll never have to come here unless you want to visit your family, and I didn't know how it was going to work, but I knew it was going to work. And if you just have that acceptance that it's going to work, that you're going to make plan A work, then it will. I love it. The third thing I would say is, the third thing I would say is that know that whatever is on that journey along the way is meant to serve you. It's meant to help you. If my car falls into a ditch and blows up, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, it's my car. Like, oh, I lost I'm going to be grateful because there's a greater car for me. That car's not supposed, that moment is supposed to help me to push forward to the next opportunity, to the next moment, the next great thing. So I'm grateful for all things that happen in my life because they're all meant to be. And in my family, we have this thing when things don't go the way we anticipate them or the way that we prefer for them to go. We all remind each other if we see ourselves getting into that space of complaining about it or being down about it. We remind each other to be grateful because that was supposed to be this way. Everything is in divine order. My great mentor, Dr. Stanley L., you know him well as well, always reminds me everything is in divine order. And I believe that. So whatever happens, whatever it is, it's supposed to be, I had 2 wrist surgeries on my right hand, Troy. And I used to box. I used to fight a lot. I'm a police officer, military. You need this right hand for you need your dominant hand for many, many things. I got injured as a police officer and hurt my right wrist. I had to have a surgery, didn't work. I had to have a second surgery, didn't work. My injuries took me away from a job that I fought for so many years. And I love that job. And it broke my heart to have to decide that I was going to retire and walk away from that. But Troy, if I didn't walk away from that job, I wouldn't be sitting here in my living room with my family talking to you at 7 p.m. your time, and it's still daylight where I live. I wanted to live here since I was a kid. I used to watch a show called Beverly Hills 90210, and I wanted this life. And I wondered why I had to be poor and why my family had to be on drugs and why I couldn't have the life that those kids were living. And today I'm living that life, Troy, because what I thought was something that was being taken away from me was giving me exactly what I needed to be able to walk away and have the life that I wanted to have since I was 7 years old. I was holding on to something that God didn't have for me. This life that I wanted was for me, but I had to gain by what I thought was losing my wrist, losing the job that I loved. I gained everything that I ever wanted. And we have things happen to us and we're like, oh man, woe is me. This happened to me. And we're crying about it. We're upset about those things that happened, but it happened for you to give you the life that you're supposed to have. If you're obedient enough and able to listen and understand that this thing is for you, and be grateful for it, you'll be able to see how you can use what you think was taken from you to gain everything that you desire.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wow, Travis. Listen, man. Powerful. I gotta ask you, listen, you talked about being a father and a husband and being a protector of your family. And I gotta ask you, because I've seen so many stories about young children going into the Hollywood industry, right? And what impact, that can have. And I gotta ask you, how have you balanced the ability to allow them to have that freedom of experience of going through what child actors go through without holding them back too much, because you want to protect them and not see them get hurt because of what you've been through or what you've seen others go through. How are you able to do that to allow them freedom of the experience, which may involve getting hurt as well?
You know what, Troy? I had to let go of the idea that it was supposed to be done like this, however this is. I had this idea that my life is supposed to look a certain way, that kids are supposed to do a certain things and have certain experiences, and then we try to control those experiences based on what we think it's supposed to look like. I had to let go of this idea that I had to make sure that my family did it this way. Dr. Stanley L was my mentor, was one of the people who helped me to understand that everyone is supposed to have their own experiences. And they're supposed to experience things the way they're supposed to experience them, because that's the path that God has them on. So I decided that if I'm trying to control it, if anything, I'm taking away from their experience and not allowing them to have it the way they need to have it so they can get to where they need to get to. I decided that the way that the world teaches that we're supposed to deal, there's no book on how to parent children. There's no rule book, but we have a set of core beliefs, I guess, as a culture of human beings, how it's supposed to look. But I don't subscribe to any of it. I don't have a list of things you should tell your kids. I don't have, I just believe that you should uplift them and give them love and, but I don't have a belief on like the way it's supposed to go. So I don't try to control it. I let them be. I let them be and have and be whoever they are. Just do what they feel they they should do. And I explained to them what my experience shows the consequences to some of these things are. But I tell my son sometimes, my life wasn't your life. So you might not experience the same thing. You may. And even if it might be likely that you may, it's also likely that you may not. So I let them have their own experiences and let them do what they want to do with their own lives. And of course, I'm still their parent. I have an obligation to monitor them, to love them, to protect them. So when there is a time for me to step in, I step in. But I try to remind my children that they had no limitations, and I try to make sure that I don't put any on them. And the result is I have extraordinary children.
Yes.
Very respectful, loving. They have a great, great foundation. And as long as you give a child a great foundation, one that's built on God, built on love. And I'm not when I say God, I'm not talking about, just to be clear, I'm not talking about religion. I don't want anybody to think it's a certain, it's not religion I'm talking about. I'm saying they have to have a foundation built on God. They have to have a foundation built on love. They have to have a foundation that's built on gratitude, and that's built on an undying acceptance and faith that they are great beyond their wildest imagination, great beyond measure, and that they can have, do, and be anything they desire. And with that foundation, my children, my son Travis is a great example. He doesn't believe that there's nothing he can't achieve. I said, Travis, how much money you want to make, an episode? Because he's on a television show, Bob Hearts Abashola, every Monday nights at 8:30. Extraordinary. Watch the latest episode. It was so good, guys. CBS All Access, all plugs, totally shameless.
Absolutely.
And Travis has this belief that he can do anything he wants. I asked him, how much you want to make an episode? And he gave me a number. I said, well, Jim Parsons was making $1 million an episode or whatever, right? I forgot who I saw. I think it was Jim Parsons. And he was like, okay, I want to make more. And I'm like, okay, what number? He was like 2 million. He just, he doesn't believe that there's limitation. He's like, I'm like, but then you can make more than that. If you can make one, you can make two. If you can make two, you can make, he's like, well, I'll make whatever. Like, you make whatever, there's no limitation, but he doesn't think that there's any limits for him. He thinks he's unstoppable. And he has that belief. And I'm glad that he does, Troy, because that's what I needed when I was running through the woods, running from my abuser when I was 11 years old. I had fear because he used to always chase me around with a machete. He would run through the woods. We had to go out every day for at least 2 hours, or at least an hour. And we had to go outside and play. And when we would go outside, he would go to the shed, get the machete, and he would go out and look. I would always run and go hide, and he would come try to find me and try to abuse me. And this one time, I remember I decided that I wasn't going to lose, right? I decided that I was going to win no matter what. And when he found me hiding by the cattails by this little tiny pond, I decided I was going to fight, and I was going to win. And I was able to fight. I kicked him into the little pond, and I ran away, and I ran to the house. And it was that day that that I was able to draw some attention to what was going on. And eventually I got up out of that foster home. But I had this idea that I was going to win, and I was wasn't going to be stopped. And my son has that mentality, and I'm glad that he does, because if he didn't, he wouldn't be where he is today. So I think that is the thing that I really want to stress, that we have to have that mentality that we are limitless and we can't be stopped, and we will achieve what we're looking to achieve, and we will.
Absolutely. Listen,
Travis. I asked the question. I kind of got emotional.
No. Listen. That's real. That's real. So listen, I want to give a shout out to you, your wife, Diana. Listen, I applaud you both. You have done a magnificent job with Travis, Junior, Anaya, Sky. Listen, just so proud of your children and what they have achieved. And not even that, what they're going. Listen, I've already said Anaya is going to be like the youngest Academy Award director, and your son is going to be like at $3, $4, $5 million an episode. And Sky, man, her name alone
Yes, sir.
It's it, sky. There's no limit. And I love that about you and your wonderful wife. And listen, I can't even go there because your wife has her own journey, man. And I'm looking to have her on the show one day. But Affirm Your Star and her videos about educating. Listen, I won't even go there because this is on her show. But shout out to your amazing wife. I love her videos. They are inspiring. Listen, everybody, follow her, please, on Facebook. Diana, yeah, Affirm Your Star. You'll find it, but it'll be in the outline of the show. But listen, we're so proud of you and your wife, all that you've done, and your amazing kids. I'm so honored to know you all and to know them. And again, just a quick happy birthday to Anaya. I know she just had one, so shout out to her. But listen, just so proud of you both. Listen, I gotta ask you. I got a few more things to do, but it's your platform. What is there something that I haven't asked you about that you want to speak to, that you want to inspire the world? Is there something that you want to share at this moment before I go into my last part of the show?
Certainly. First and foremost, I want to say this show is about me, and I'm grateful for the platform. You asked a lot of questions about me, but what is always in the background and really never gets enough credit. We give God His glory, and we always do. But my wife, Diana Ibelis, you'll find her if you search her. I actually put her name in the chat. You can search her name and search Affirm Your Star. I get a lot of glory, man, from people, a lot of the accolades, a lot of the attention, but truly what's in the background and what's helped our family to get to where we are, besides our mindset and things that I preach, is my wife, Diana, having her to keep us balanced, having her to keep us pushing forward. She inspires me to want more and to be more. I have to do more for her. By her being as great as she is, I used to have this idea that I had to take care of my wife. So that was my motivation: take care of my wife, take care of my kids. So she'll never have to work. They'll never have. But she works so hard, Troy, for our family, that man, love that woman so much, man. She works so hard to make sure that we have the life that we have and that we sustain it. And she's so giving and loving and always giving of herself to other people, her time, her information. She doesn't hold back. She's not like, oh, this is for me, I'm not going to share it with you because I want my kids to be great, but not yours. She's always trying to help other people, to help their children in the industry, to help them have the life that we have. Man, if it wasn't for her, I tell you, brother, I don't know where we'd be. I can have all the determination in the world, but without that helpmate that God has given me and that woman,
Yes.
I don't know where we'd be. So I'm so grateful for her, man. So if you have a good woman in your life, if you have a good helpmate, whomever they may be grateful for them and serve them. You know, my mission is truly to serve my wife and serve my family, and she does so much of a great job just serving us and keeping us together. And I think I've said enough, Troy, for this audience today. I don't have anything else. I want to end it like that, man. Giving honor.
Yeah. Listen, I'm so grateful. Listen, before we give us all of your social media, listen, we want to give a shout again to your wife. Again, I think she is an amazing woman. I look forward to having her. Amazing person. I mean, I want to have her on the show. We were trying to get together at one point and things kind of happened, but listen, everything has purpose. Everything has purpose. And so I'm excited to have her on, but yes, definitely put her name, we'll put all the stuff, because we want us to follow this Wolfpack family. Yes, we do. It's an amazing family, and I'm excited to know you all. I want to give a shout out to Sierra Miller. Listen, if it wasn't for her having a speaker series, and I went to her event to take pictures, and then Anaya, your daughter, was one of the speakers, and that's how, and she saw me taking pictures, and we started having a conversation, and that's how it all started. So listen, I'm grateful for Sierra. Thank you, Sierra. We appreciate you for allowing this path to cross between myself and the Wolfpack family. We're so grateful for you all. So proud of you all, Travis, and thank you. Give us all of your social media contacts for you, your wife, or whoever you want to give us. But how can people find you? How can they get your shirts, your books? How can they contact you for an engagement? Tell us all your social media accounts.
Absolutely. So I'm Travis Wolfe Sr., one word, Travis Wolfe with an E, SR, Travis Wolfe Sr., everywhere, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. And the wolfempowerment.com. So WOLFE empowerment.com. You can find me. If you go to any of my social media sites, you'll be able to find the information on how to find me. And please, more than me, if you really want to be inspired, follow my family. Travis Wolfe Sr., Travis Wolfe Jr. rather, Anaya Wolfe, one of the most extraordinary human beings I've ever been blessed to be to be in the presence of. My youngest daughter, Sky, extraordinary, and of course my wife, Diana. Follow Diana Evilise for sure. Yeah, that's how you can find me. You'll find me through them, but definitely find them.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you so much for all of who you are. Thank you for sharing your journey. And listen, any last words before we go?
Go be great.
There you go.
You believe yourself.
Listen,
believe God. You can have, do, and be anything in this world you aspire to be. Go be great.
You heard it from the man himself, Travis Wolfe Sr. Listen, go be great. This is Troy Alexander Inspiration with Troy Alexander. We are here every week. Listen, to inspire you, to uplift you, to never give up on your dream. And you know my motto, dream, take that step and walk with purpose into your destiny. Have a good night. And listen, go be great. Have a good night. Thank you, Travis.
Thank you, my friend. God bless you all.